In the last movie, we saw how we could create if statements, and we saw how we could create an if statement that would execute it in one case and another if statement that execute it in another case. But there's actually a better way that we can do this, and we're going to look at that now. We can say else. So if A is true, do this. Else, do that. So that's going to be the opposite. Now, it's slightly different than the two expressions I had there because I wasn't taking into account the possibility that A and B were equal with my previous two expressions. If A and B are equal in this case, it will say A is not larger than B, which is correct. But that's how an if-else operator is going to work. And the curly braces are just the same with else as they were when we were dealing with only with if. They're not necessary if we have single-line expressions, but I think you're going to find it a lot easier to keep track of your code if you use them all the time. In addition to being able to test whether an expression is true and then execute one bit of code, or do something else if it's not true, we have another option, which is the else if statement. And that's going to look something like this. Else if, and then another expression followed by another set of curly braces. So we can put another expression here, and it'll test a second thing before it proceeds to our default case. So in this case, let's just say if A is equal to B. So if A is equal to B, then we want to echo back A equals B. Sounds good, right? And if not, then we don't have to just say it's not larger. We can actually say is smaller than B. And now we can plug in some different values and we can test it. If we say, in fact, that both A and B are going to be equal to 4, we pop back over here. We'll see that A equals B was the only line of code that was executed. It skipped past A is larger than B. It moved to A equals B. That was true, so it did not need to do anything else. It exited out of the control structure right where this last brace ends. So once one is satisfied, it's done with the rest of the if, then, else statements. So now that we see how we can construct if, and else statements like this, let's explore how we can expand upon the logical expressions that get tested, those Booleans, to see if we can come up with something that's going to be a little richer and more useful and allow us to test for a lot more possibilities. And we'll do that in the next movie.